This is Jennifer. She's a 42-year-old marketing director who has built an incredibly successful career, but somewhere along the way, she lost something equally important: her ability to sleep. Every single night she lies in bed for what feels like hours, her mind racing, her body tense, unable to drift off, no matter how exhausted she feels. She has tried everything that the internet told her to try. She has meditated for 30 minutes before bed. She has taken expensive supplements. She has invested in blackout curtains and a white noise machine. She has even eliminated screen time 2 hours before she wants to sleep. Yet night after night, she still finds herself staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m, wondering why nothing is working. What Jennifer doesn't realize is that the answer to her sleepless nights might be hiding in her evening routine in a way she never expected, and it has nothing to do with what most sleep advice tells you to focus on. The truth is, Jennifer's sleep problem likely started much earlier in the day than she thinks, and it probably started with something she drinks. Now, when I say this, most people immediately think about coffee. They think about caffeine. They think about that afternoon espresso or that energy drink they grabbed at 3 o'clock to push through the afternoon slump. But here's what most people don't realize. Caffeine is only part of the story, and it's not even the most damaging part. There is something else, something that Jennifer drinks regularly, something that millions of people consume every single day without realizing the devastating impact it has on their ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. And the worst part is that this beverage is often marketed as healthy, as natural, as something that should actually help you sleep better. Today, we are going to uncover exactly what this beverage is, why it is so destructive to your sleep, and most importantly, what you can do about it starting tonight. Before we dive into the specific beverage that is sabotaging your sleep, we need to understand something fundamental about how your body decides when it's time to sleep. Your brain doesn't just randomly decide to shut down at night. Instead, your sleep is controlled by two powerful biological systems that work together like a perfectly choreographed dance. The first system is your circadian rhythm, which is essentially your body's internal 24-hour clock. This clock controls the release of hormones like melatonin, which makes you feel sleepy, and cortisol, which makes you feel awake and alert. The second system is something called sleep pressure. And this is where things get really interesting. Sleep pressure is created by a chemical in your brain called adenosine. Every single moment that you are awake, adenosine is building up in your brain like water filling a bathtub. The longer you stay awake, the more adenosine accumulates, and the stronger your desire to sleep becomes. This is why you feel more tired the longer you go without sleep. This is the biological mechanism that makes sleep feel like an irresistible need rather than just a suggestion. Now, here's where the problem begins for people like Jennifer. There are certain beverages that interfere with both of these systems simultaneously. They disrupt your circadian rhythm, they mess with your hormone production, and they block the adenosine from doing its job of making you feel sleepy. The most obvious culprit is alcohol. Now, I know what you're thinking. Alcohol makes you feel drowsy. It makes you feel relaxed. Many people actually drink alcohol specifically because they think it will help them fall asleep faster. In fact, studies show that roughly 30 to 40% of people with insomnia use alcohol as a sleep aid, thinking that a glass of wine or a beer before bed will help them drift off more easily. And yes, alcohol does make you feel sleepy initially. It does relax your muscles and calm your mind. But here's the critical part that most people don't understand. What alcohol does to your sleep after you fall asleep is far more damaging than any benefit you get from falling asleep a little bit faster. When you drink alcohol before bed, it does suppress your central nervous system, which is why you feel that initial drowsiness. However, once you fall asleep, alcohol begins to wreak havoc on your sleep architecture. Your sleep is not just one continuous block of unconsciousness. Instead, it is made up of multiple cycles, and each cycle contains different stages of sleep. You have light sleep, you have deep sleep, and you have something called REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement sleep. REM sleep is when most of your dreaming happens, and it is absolutely critical for memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and cognitive function. When you consume alcohol before bed, it dramatically suppresses your REM sleep. Your brain essentially skips over these crucial stages and goes straight into lighter stages of sleep. This means that even if you sleep for 8 hours, your sleep quality is severely compromised because you are missing out on the restorative stages that your brain and body desperately need. But the damage doesn't stop there. Alcohol also causes something called sleep fragmentation, which means that instead of sleeping through the night in one continuous block, you wake up multiple times throughout the night. You might not remember these awakenings in the morning, but they are happening and they are preventing you from getting the deep, restorative sleep that your body needs to function optimally. Additionally, alcohol is a diuretic, which means it causes your body to produce more urine. This is why you often find yourself waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom after drinking alcohol before bed. Every time you wake up, you are disrupting your sleep cycle, and it takes your brain time to fall back asleep and get back into the deeper stages of sleep. By the time you finally get back into deep sleep, it might be time to wake up for the day. Now, Jennifer's situation is actually even more complicated than just the alcohol issue, because Jennifer doesn't just drink alcohol. Like millions of other people, Jennifer also drinks a lot of caffeine. She starts her day with a large coffee. She has another cup around mid-morning, and then because she feels that afternoon energy crash, she often has a third cup of coffee or sometimes even a caffeinated soda in the late afternoon. Now, most people know that caffeine can interfere with sleep if you drink it too close to bedtime. But what most people don't realize is just how long caffeine stays in your system and how sensitive your body actually is to its effects. Caffeine has what scientists call a half-life of between 5 and 8 hours. This means that if you drink a cup of coffee at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, half of that caffeine is still in your system at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And if you drink another cup at that time, you are essentially doubling the amount of caffeine in your system right when you are trying to wind down for bed. Here's how caffeine works in your brain. Remember that adenosine we talked about earlier, the chemical that builds up throughout the day and creates sleep pressure? Well, caffeine works by hijacking the adenosine receptors in your brain. It essentially blocks adenosine from attaching to these receptors, which means your brain doesn't receive the signal that it's time to sleep. Caffeine tricks your brain into thinking that you are not tired, even though adenosine is still building up in your system. This is why you can feel wired and exhausted at the same time. Your body is screaming for sleep, but your brain has been chemically tricked into thinking you are alert and awake. The problem is that this effect doesn't just disappear when you want it to. If you drink caffeine in the afternoon, you are still blocking adenosine receptors hours later when you're trying to fall asleep. But here's where it gets even worse, and this is something that Jennifer discovered the hard way. When you combine alcohol with caffeine, you create a perfect storm of sleep disruption during the day. Jennifer uses caffeine to stay alert and productive. Then, in the evening, she has a glass of wine to try to relax and fall asleep. What she doesn't realize is that these two substances are working against each other in ways that are far more damaging than either one alone. The caffeine is still in her system, blocking her adenosine receptors and preventing her from feeling sleepy. Meanwhile, the alcohol is suppressing her REM sleep and causing sleep fragmentation. The result is that Jennifer gets to bed, falls asleep relatively quickly because of the alcohol, but then wakes up multiple times during the night because of the sleep fragmentation. And when she does wake up, the caffeine in her system makes it harder for her to fall back asleep. Now, I want to be very clear about something. I'm not saying that you can never drink alcohol or caffeine. What I am saying is that the timing of these beverages is absolutely critical, and most people are consuming them at exactly the wrong times of day. If you want to protect your sleep and ensure that you are getting the deep, restorative rest that your body needs, you need to understand the specific windows during which these beverages will and will not interfere with your sleep. Let's start with caffeine, because this is the easier one to manage. The general rule is that you should avoid consuming any caffeine at least 8 to 10 hours before you plan to go to bed. So if you want to fall asleep at 10 o'clock at night, you should not consume any caffeine after 12 o'clock noon. Now, I know that sounds extreme to many people, especially if you are used to having an afternoon coffee or energy drink to get through the post-lunch energy crash. But here's the thing. If you are experiencing that afternoon energy crash, it's usually not because you need more caffeine. It's actually because you didn't sleep well the night before, or you're not eating enough protein and healthy fats at lunch, or you're not getting enough movement and sunlight during the day. Caffeine is just a band-aid on a bigger problem. If you address the root cause of your afternoon fatigue, you won't need that afternoon coffee in the first place. The best way to manage your caffeine consumption is to front load it. Have your coffee first thing in the morning when you wake up, or within the first hour of waking up. This aligns with your natural cortisol rhythm, which peaks in the morning and helps you feel alert and awake. If you need a second cup of coffee, have it before 10 o'clock in the morning. After that, switch to herbal tea, water, or other caffeine-free beverages. This might feel like a significant change if you are used to afternoon coffee, but your sleep quality will improve dramatically within just a few days. Now, when it comes to alcohol, the situation is a bit more nuanced. Unlike caffeine, where the goal is to avoid it entirely in the afternoon and evening, alcohol can be consumed earlier in the day without significantly impacting your sleep that night. However, if you do choose to drink alcohol, there are specific guidelines you should follow to minimize the damage to your sleep. First, avoid drinking alcohol within 3 to 4 hours of your bedtime. So if you want to go to bed at 10 o'clock, you should finish drinking alcohol by 6 or 7 o'clock at the latest. This gives your body time to metabolize the alcohol before you go to sleep, which reduces the sleep fragmentation and REM sleep suppression. Second, if you do drink alcohol, limit the amount. The more alcohol you consume, the more it will disrupt your sleep. Research shows that even moderate amounts of alcohol can reduce REM sleep by up to 30%, and heavy alcohol consumption can reduce it by 50% or more. That means that if you are drinking multiple glasses of wine or multiple beers in the evening, you are essentially throwing away half of your REM sleep, which is absolutely critical for your brain health, your emotional well-being, and your cognitive function. Third, and this is really important, do not use alcohol as a sleep aid. I know that it might help you fall asleep faster, but the cost to your sleep quality is far too high. If you are struggling to fall asleep, there are much better solutions that don't come with the side effect of destroying your REM sleep and causing sleep fragmentation. We will talk about those solutions in just a moment. Now, there is one more beverage that I want to talk about, and this one is often overlooked because people don't typically think of it as a sleep disruptor. I'm talking about sugary drinks and high sugar beverages consumed in the evening. When you drink something high in sugar in the evening, it causes a rapid spike in your blood sugar and insulin levels. This triggers the release of cortisol and adrenaline, which are stimulating hormones that make you feel alert and awake. This is the exact opposite of what you want when you are trying to wind down for bed. Additionally, the blood sugar spike is often followed by a crash, which can cause you to wake up in the middle of the night feeling anxious or restless. This is why many people find themselves wide awake at 3 o'clock in the morning after having a sugary dessert or a sweet drink in the evening. So now that we understand what beverages are sabotaging your sleep, let's talk about what you should be drinking instead. And more importantly, let's talk about how to create an evening routine that actually supports your sleep instead of working against it. The first thing you need to do is eliminate caffeine afternoon. This is non-negotiable if you want to improve your sleep quality. If you are used to afternoon coffee, replace it with herbal tea, water, or other caffeine-free beverages. Some excellent options include chamomile tea, which has mild sedative properties and has been used for centuries to promote relaxation and sleep, peppermint tea, which aids digestion and can help reduce anxiety, or simply warm water with lemon. The act of drinking something warm in the afternoon can be soothing and satisfying without the sleep-disrupting effects of caffeine. The second thing you need to do is limit alcohol consumption. And if you do drink alcohol, make sure you finish drinking at least 3 to 4 hours before bed. This gives your body time to metabolize the alcohol and reduces the impact on your sleep quality. If you are someone who enjoys a glass of wine with dinner, that's fine, but make sure dinner is early enough that you have that 3 to 4 hour window before bed. The third thing you need to do is avoid sugary drinks and high sugar beverages, especially in the evening. If you want something sweet, eat a piece of fruit instead. Fruit contains natural sugars, but it also contains fiber, which slows down the absorption of sugar and prevents the rapid blood sugar spike that disrupts your sleep. Alternatively, you can have a small snack that combines protein and healthy fats, like a handful of almonds or a piece of cheese, which will satisfy your craving for something substantial without disrupting your sleep. The fourth thing you need to do is stay hydrated throughout the day, but taper your fluid intake as you get closer to bedtime. You want to make sure you are drinking enough water during the day to stay hydrated, but you don't want to be drinking large amounts of fluid right before bed, because that will cause you to wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. A good rule of thumb is to drink most of your water and other fluids before 6 o'clock in the evening, and then limit your fluid intake after that. If you do get thirsty in the evening, take small sips rather than drinking large amounts at once. The fifth thing you need to do is create a specific evening beverage routine that signals to your body that it's time to wind down and prepare for sleep. About 1 hour before bed, have a warm, caffeine-free beverage. This could be herbal tea, warm milk, or even warm water with honey. The warmth of the beverage and the ritual of preparing and drinking it sends a signal to your body that sleep is coming. This is called a sleep cue, and it helps train your body to recognize that it's time to transition from wakefulness to sleep. Over time, your body will begin to associate this evening beverage with sleep, and you will find that you start to feel sleepy as soon as you drink it. Now, let me tell you what happened when Jennifer implemented these changes. She eliminated caffeine afternoon, which was difficult at first because she had been drinking afternoon coffee for years. But within 3 days, her afternoon energy crash disappeared because she was actually sleeping better at night. She limited her alcohol consumption and made sure to finish drinking at least 3 to 4 hours before bed. She replaced her sugary evening snacks with fruit and nuts, and she created an evening routine where she had a cup of chamomile tea about an hour before bed. Within 1 week, Jennifer noticed that she was falling asleep faster and sleeping more deeply. Within 2 weeks, she was sleeping through the entire night without waking up. Within 1 month, she felt like a completely different person. She had more energy during the day, she was more focused at work, her mood was better, and she felt like she had reclaimed her life. The reason Jennifer's sleep improved so dramatically is because she addressed the root cause of her sleep problem instead of just treating the symptoms. She didn't need expensive supplements or complicated sleep techniques. She just needed to stop consuming beverages that were actively working against her sleep. Now, here's the thing that I want you to really understand. Your sleep is not something that happens at night. Your sleep is determined by the choices you make during the day, and especially by the beverages you consume. Every time you drink caffeine in the afternoon, you are stealing sleep from yourself. Every time you drink alcohol in the evening, you are reducing the quality of the sleep you do get. Every time you drink something high in sugar in the evening, you are triggering your body to stay alert and awake. These might seem like small choices in the moment, but they add up and they have a profound impact on your sleep quality and your overall health. The good news is that this is completely within your control. You don't need to take medication. You don't need to spend money on expensive sleep supplements or sleep tracking devices. You just need to make different choices about what you drink and when you drink it. And the results can be absolutely transformative. So here's what I want you to do starting tonight. First, look at what you are drinking throughout the day. Write down every beverage you consume and the time you consume it. This will give you a clear picture of what might be sabotaging your sleep. Second, identify which beverages are most problematic. Is it afternoon coffee? Is it alcohol in the evening? Is it sugary drinks? Third, create a plan to eliminate or reduce these beverages and replace them with sleep-supporting alternatives. Fourth, create an evening beverage routine that signals to your body that it's time to sleep. And fifth, commit to these changes for at least 1 week and pay attention to how your sleep improves. I want to hear from you in the comments below. What beverage do you think is most likely sabotaging your sleep? Is it caffeine? Is it alcohol? Is it something else entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments and let's start a conversation about how we can all improve our sleep by making better choices about what we drink. If you found this information helpful, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more science-backed sleep advice that will help you reclaim your sleep and transform your life. Thank you for watching, and I hope your sleep tonight is better than it was last night.